Hey again! So now we're getting into much more recent themes that are still affecting us today, affecting artists today. So this one, chapter 28, is Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Symbolism, Europe and America 1870 to 1900. So tons of things happened during this time period. It's just impossible to sum it up so quickly, but I'm counting on you guys. You can sum it up. So here we have our learning objectives, if you want a screen cap. And our timeline. So lots of great points to begin a paper. Here's France around 1870. With towns along the Seine River, or the Seine, I think it's the Seine. Okay, here we've got Manet, and guess what Manet's painting? Monet. Oh, so we know Monet very well. Here he is with his beard and his wife, and he's sitting on a boat painting. He had quite the life, but I think he had like 11 children or something crazy like that. Yeah. So he needed to get away. Okay, here's Claude Monet. All right, so this is the painting that started Impressionism. This is the very first impressionistic painting, and notice that it's named Impression Sunrise. So that's where the title came from, or the movement. The artist who made it his artistic practice to admit, hold on a second, let me say that again because it's important, I don't want to screw it up. So the artist who made it his artistic practice to omit the preliminary sketch and use pre-mixed pigments is Monet. So he wasn't planning for weeks and weeks and weeks. He would just go out and take his first impression of what he saw. Many of the early Impressionist paintings were displayed at commercial art galleries. So he actually did really well during his life. This is Monet's On the Bank of the Seine from 1868. So his earlier style shows much more detail, and we'll see that. This is Monet's Saint-Lazare train station. So really what he wanted to demonstrate with his work is how light affected forms and shapes and line, and it's just beautiful. And this is his Rouen Cathedral. So he did many paintings of the same subject, and that was just his way. Art historians regard the real subject of Monet's Rouen Cathedral, the portal in sun, as the sunlight on the portal. So that was really all he was trying to show. The cathedral that is the subject of Monet's series of paintings showing the effect of light is located in Rouen. Gustave Caillebotte. The architect responsible for the new layout of the city of Paris, begun in 1852, that is reinforced in Caillebotte's Paris, A Rainy Day, is George Haussmann. Caillebotte suggests the transitory and personal nature of modern life in Paris by showing moving figures and cut-off buildings. Okay, so that's an important note. I love that painting. Okay, here's Camille Pissarro's La Place du Théâtre Français. The works of Camille Pissarro are recognizable because they are painted from the viewpoint of high above the street. So notice, our perspective here is always looking down. Everything really tiny. Renoir. Okay, you've heard that name before. So Pierre-Auguste Renoir. This is the dance at Le Moulin de la Galette. The painter who made Parisian dance halls and clubs the subject of many of his paintings. Many of his paintings include Dance at Le Moulin de la Galette. That's Renoir. Okay, here we have a Manet, a painting that I love. This is just a bar at Folies Bergère. Spatial discrepancies, such as the relationship between the barmaid and her apparent reflection in a nearby mirror, are highlighted in Manet's A Bar at the Folies Bergère. It's like you're there. Amazing. So realistic. Okay, this is Degas, the rehearsal. Degas is like the ballet guy, pretty much. But he's an impressionist painter who specialized in indoor scenes of bodies in motion, sometimes using a camera to make preliminary sketches. Photography's coming into play. I'm back to get another drink. So, okay. Here we are with Edgar Degas, The Tub. So here we have, one that doesn't have ballerina dancers in it, but still naked woman. The incorporation of Japanese aesthetics into European painting, a trend referred to as Japonisme, is evident in Degas' The Tub. So Impressionist artists, including Degas, greatly admired the spatial organization and flat, unmodeled color areas of Japanese woodblock prints. So we're going to see some references to that. It was pastel. Wow, crazy. Tori Kiyonaga's detail of two women at the bath. So this really demonstrates what they were referring to. This is an actual woodblock print. And Whistler. Whistler's Nocturne in Black and Gold is an example of the artist's effort to use color to create visual works paralleling another art form, music. Wow, cool. So we're going to see that in the future as well, so take note. This one is called The Falling Rocket, in parentheses. But James Abbott McNeill Whistler, you'll always hear him again as Whistler. Okay, Mary Cassatt, The Child's Bath. Cassatt was an impressionist, an American impressionist who painted principally women and children. So Mary Cassatt's what she's famous for. And Bertha Morisot, Summer's Day. Again, another famous woman. Nice to hear about. Bertha Morisot. This one feels a little bit less impressionistic to me than the previous. Although Morisot's interest in leisure activities aligned with the Impressionists, her painting inhabited the social group of women and children at home. So that's primarily what we see from Morisot. Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec. Okay, you might have heard of this guy, Toulouse-Lautrec. This is at the Moulin Rouge, and I always think of this painting as the Green Lady. Because boy, oh boy, doesn't she stand out in a crazy way. And I always think that they're like drinking absinthe, to make everybody a little bit crazy, and that were the kind of things that went on. Okay, and here's Toulouse-Lautrec. Here we have one of his posters. So he was actually, I don't want to say an invalid, but he lived his life in a wheelchair, basically. And so he was very small, and he would sit in these dance halls and, do artworks about the can-can dancers and things like that. But he was the first great master in the new art form of the poster. So these posters, was just like a paper poster you could display on the wall. You could make many prints of it, and that was, his biggest claim to fame, I would say. Okay, this is a detail of Sunday on La Grande Jatte. And this is by George Seurat. So we just looked at a detail of this section right here. This is a pretty big artwork, really, really. Not just that it's large in size, but George Seurat's painting technique, relying on an optical effect involving spots of color, is referred to as pointillism. So if you get a chance to look at this painting really close, all you see is little dots. Oh, that stuff takes so long. But, you know, this is his most famous painting. Okay, and now we're getting into Van Gogh. The potato eaters. Okay, so again, we've got ordinary people, the rural poor. And what Van Gogh is doing here is exploring the possibilities of bold colors, distorted forms, creating a textile effect with energetic and thick brushstrokes. So Vincent van Gogh, you just have to look at his artworks closely, and we're going to see some more. So this is Van Gogh's Japonaise flowering plum tree. Don't you think this is based on those Japanese woodblock prints? It sure is. And here we have Night Cafe. This one is kind of fascinating to me because he's using a lot of green and red. Okay, so those are complementary or opposite colors. In his work, Night Cafe, Van Gogh says that he is trying to express the terrible passions of humanity by means of red and green. I don't know what he was thinking. Okay, Vincent van Gogh, Starry Night. That's one of our favorite paintings of all time. The idea that Vincent van Gogh was trying to communicate in his Starry Night is the vastness of the universe. I get that. There's a lot going on up there in the sky. And Gauguin, Paul Gauguin, his vision after the sermon, his firm outlines surrounding the areas of unmodulated color in Gauguin's vision after the sermon reflect his interest in the medium of stained glass. So, like things like this red area here, they're saying it's unmodulated. It's not changing up to show the different values of the space. It's just solid. A Gauguin, again, where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? So he moved to Tahiti, and, you know, he just kind of laid around and had lots of nude women around him all the time, apparently. But, you know, islanders. But this painting is symbolic of his move to Tahiti. So Gauguin, from Paris, moved to Tahiti. Cézanne. Oh, Cézanne, so famous. Okay, so his Basket of Apples. The painting genre that was most useful for Cézanne's experiments with remaking Impressionism to emphasize the permanent rather than the transitory, so changing things, is a still life. I know a lot about this painting. It's been valued at $100 million. And notice that it looks like things are about to happen. So that was Cézanne's big thing. So it looks like the bottle's about to fall. It looks like, how are these fruits going to stay on the table? Everything, there's just like something about to happen. And it's hugely famous. Okay, Cézanne's Mont Saint-Victoire. I actually did a version of this painting. We had to choose a style from the Impressionist era and then create a new artwork with it. So notice how it's all kind of stiff and blocky. So we're still in Impressionism. And here's Cézanne's The Large Bathers. I don't know why they're large. What is that, a reference to their height or their weight? I'm not sure. But they are large in the scene, I guess. And so Cézanne's style, you notice that thick, heavy brushwork. Again, all about like light. Okay, this is Pierre Puvis de Chavannes. The work of Pierre Puvis de Chavannes, with its rejection of realism and statuesque figures in a tranquil landscape. It was inspired by the members of the Symbolism movement. So again, I'm losing my voice. Okay, I don't know if I lost some slides there, but we're just going to move on because I'm losing my voice. Okay, so this is Gustave Moreau's The Apparition. Gustave Moreau's The Apparition treats the frequent symbolist theme of the femme fatale. Oh, that lady, she's gonna get ya. And here's Gustave Moreau's Jupiter and Semele. What's that sound like? Mythical themes. Oh, here we go. Odile and Redon, the Cyclops. Okay, so, a symbolist painter who produced richly colored representation of the Cyclops is Odile and Redon. So here we are going back to these Greco-Roman stories again, mythology. Okay, so this is Henri Rousseau's Sleeping Gypsy. A lot going on here. So along with Gustave Moreau and Odile and Redon, Henri Rousseau was also a leading artist of the Symbolist movement. Extreme subjectivity and the wish to perceive a deeper reality that was typical of the art movement of Symbolism is shown here. The imagery of a sleeping person and a lion in Sleeping Gypsy can be linked to the work of Rousseau's contemporary, you ready for this? Sigmund Freud. Okay, so we're getting into the subconscious mind. Okay, here's Rousseau's The Dream. Again, the subconscious. These are places that he had never seen, but he could visualize them. Okay, James Ensor, Christ's entry into Brussels. Art historians regard James Ensor's painting Christ's entry into Brussels in 1889 as his critical response to Seurat's contemporary work, A Sunday on La Grande Jatte. Huh. Okay. Aubrey Beardsley, The Peacock Skirt. Oh, how pretty. So this is pen and ink, and it's based on Oscar Wilde's Salome. Isn't that cool? I have a student named Salome right now. Edvard Munch, The Scream. And you've seen this since you were a little kid. And did you know the original title of this powerfully emotional piece, The Scream, was called Despair. I see that. I feel it. Gustav Klimt, The Kiss. Okay, and in this painting, the artist uses flat patterning to distinguish between the male and female figures. Rectangle shapes cover the male, circles cover the female, so we can imagine how that would be symbolic. And it's interesting, Gustav Klimt, his main model was like a fashion designer at the time, and so we would see a lot of her and her dress creations, her beautiful clothing. Okay, photographer. Gertrude Cassabier, Blessed Art Thou Among Women. So she is our most famous photographer with creating images of symbolist themes. So Gertrude Cassabier. And here we got Rodin. Rodin, Walking Man. He was the leading French sculptor of the late 19th century. He was a realist. The influence of the artistic movement that is evident in Rodin's interest in the effect of light on the sculpted surface is Impressionism. The artist who argued that art is truthful and photographs lie is Auguste Rodin. Okay, so we're already starting to see that, backlash against photography. Here's Rodin's Burghers of Calais. You can see why he was pretty famous. And his Gates of Hell. Ooh, what does that remind you of? A lot of our bronze doors of the past, right? Auguste Rodin took his subject for the Bronze Gates of Hell from the writings of the author Dante. Oh, okay, Dante. Camille Claudel, The Waltz. So pretty. And Auguste Saint Gaudens' Adams Memorial. It's a big one. Okay, William Morris. Still hugely famous with interior decorators, because what he did mostly was design patterns. This one's called the Green Dining Room. This was an artistic movement that arose out of the idea of John Ruskin and William Morris, this guy, with their emphasis on producing functional objects with a high aesthetic value. And they called it arts and crafts. William Morris's Green Dining Room exemplifies the design goals of the artistic movement, arts and crafts. See, that would have made me mad. Just that title. Charles Rennie Mackintosh and Margaret MacDonald Mackintosh. Oh, ladies' luncheon room. That was partners. Victor Horta Staircase. Oh, wow. So beautiful. Okay, so Victor Horta is most associated with the Art Nouveau style. So this is like early, late 1800s, and then this style would predominate up through like the 1920s. Okay, Victor Horta. Oh my gosh, this is such a famous, beautiful photograph of this foyer and the stairwell. So pretty. And we've also got Tiffany, Louis Comfort Tiffany. He was making works of stained glass and lamps, and oh my gosh, so gorgeous. So leaded glass with a bronze base. And here we have Casa Mila in Barcelona. So many different styles incorporated there. So he was considered Art Nouveau, Gaudí. He invented new structural techniques to allow construction of buildings that are sculpted and organic in form. And I can definitely see those kind of things going on up here at top. And then kind of like the undulating style of Borromini. Oh, here we got Eiffel. So everybody knows this artwork, right? The monument, it was built for the Great Exhibition in 1889, which is like a precursor to the World's Fair. It was originally seen as a symbol of modern Paris. So this was like, we're so modern. The architect who designed the interior support frame, also of the Statue of Liberty, is Eiffel. Alexandre Gustave Eiffel. He did a lot of good things. A couple big ones. Okay, this is Henry Hobson Richardson. He was the architect who designed the first large commercial building characterized by round arches. See that in our windows here. Large windows and a cast iron interior skeleton. So kind of like, what Eiffel did and how he did the Statue of Liberty. An armature, which is like, the skeleton. Louis Henry Sullivan. He is described as the first modernist architect. We're going to hear so much about modernism. Oh my gosh. The architect who designed elegantly ornamented yet functional commercial buildings such as the Guarantee Building in Buffalo and the Sullivan Center in Chicago is Louis Henry Sullivan. Or Louis. I guess he's Louis. Louis Henry Sullivan's Wainwright Building. Imagine building that, over 100 years ago, still standing strong. Here's another one. This is the Sullivan Center. Good name. Okay, and here we've got notes about the Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, and so Marxism and Darwinism. Interesting what that led to. So a lot of connections in art are based in science. And here's a couple more discussion questions if you're interested in developing a paper. That's it.